So the time being 7 o'clock, I'll declare the meeting open. The Town of Walkerville would like to acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on today and respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We recognise the many generations of stewardship the Kaurna people have provided to this land and respect that their cultural heritage and beliefs are as important today as they were for their ancestors. So, present we have all council as set out on the screen and staff in attendance there as set out on the screen. There are no apologies and no one is on a leave of absence or not present. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. Item 3.1 is that the ordinary council meeting minutes of the 21st of July 25 be received as a true and accurate record of the proceedings. Thank you. Councillor Vanstone has moved that. Seconded Councillor Williams. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 3.2, that the special council meeting minutes of the 28th of July 25 be received as true and accurate record of the proceedings. It's been moved by Councillor Kaur, seconded by Councillor Zeppel. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 3.3, that the special council meeting minutes of the 4th of August 25 be received as a true and accurate record of the proceedings. It's moved by Councillor Trotter, seconded by Councillor Kaur. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 3.4, that the special Eastern Waste Management Authority meeting minutes of the 9th of July 25 be received and noted.
Move that way.
Thank you. Councillor Whip has moved that. I'm not sure about the seconder. I think Councillor Zeppel. All those in favour? That is carried. Item 4, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest for this evening? Councillor Trotter?
I would have a general declaration of interest relating to the confidential item on the update of the 17.1, which is the update on the bowling club. My husband is on the board of the bowling club. I will stay in the room and I will vote.
Thank you. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Ms Jones. And likewise, however, my general conflict is with the the site. My property borders that site. I'll stay in the room and vote on the matter as well.
Yeah. Anyone else? Councillor Nenke?
I'll just ask for advice first. With regard to the ERA Audit and Risk Committee recommendation from Lord Madam St Peters, I used to work with the gentleman for a period of time, probably 15 years. Do I need to declare any interest in that, or?
I don't think so.
No, there's no personal interest. It's not family connected.
No.
In fact, that you probably know is probably extra positive.
Okay.
Might be able to comment.
Thank you.
Okay, any other conflicts of interest? Okay, thank you. Item 5, business adjourned. There is no business adjourned. Item 6 are deputations. We do not have any deputations. Item 7 are petitions. We have no petitions. Item 8 is the Mayor's diary. Any questions on the diary? Okay, is there a mover? Thank you, Councillor Kaur, seconded by Councillor Williams. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 9, council member updates. Are there any council member updates?
Thank you, Ma'am. I would
Kaur.
like to say regarding the Walkerville committee is doing very well, and WCC just run a very special session on 13th of August, and it was lovely to see more people come together, and it's a great initiative it's a simple but yet powerful initiative to bring the community together, and it improves the mental health and having a couple and connect with other people. Yeah, it was very pleasure to be there, and looking forward to have many more sessions in future.
Thank you, Councillor Kaur. Councillor Trotter?
I would second that. The Walkerville Community Committee donated and worked with the St Andrew's Church on collaborating with the Chatty Cafe, and we had a really lovely group of people arrive. A lot of pamphlets were delivered by our team, and I think there was about 12 people between the church and the residents there. It was a lovely event which many walk to, so a lot of the elderly felt it was quite an achievement to have something that they can go to midweek. So we're really happy with how that started, hoping to build this to a regular once a month event for the community, and really happy that Walkerville Community Committee has raised the money themselves, so very happy with that. Thanks.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Any other council member updates? Okay, that brings us to item 10, which is questions from the gallery. And I think we do have some questions from the gallery. If you'd like to come up here. I'll start out reading something you've heard before. Firstly, welcome to the Town of Walkerville Council meeting. Before we proceed with your questions, I'd like to outline the rules and procedures. During this section of the meeting, members have the opportunity to ask questions of council, and please note the following guidelines. Public question time is limited to a total of 30 minutes per meeting. As the presiding member, I'll determine the order in which members of the public will speak. Before asking a question, please state your full name and suburb. You are given a maximum of 5 minutes to ask your questions. Questions that are offensive, defamatory, relate to personal matters or are confidential will not be accepted. And council members or staff may provide verbal responses to your questions. If a written response is necessary, it will be provided by the Chief Executive Officer within 5 business days. Please be aware that this meeting is being recorded both visually and audibly. The recordings will be made available on YouTube and our website. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please ask.
None at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trent Philip Schmidt, resident and homeowner at 10 Washington Street, Vale Park. I do appreciate the Mayor's correspondence today acknowledging my communication to the Council. I do not wish to waste further time of the Council, but I do expect appropriate action by the Town of Walkerville. I do ask if I can present the questions separately, the individual responses, as they are similar but separate issues.
Yeah.
Okay. I attended the Walkerville Council on the 21st of July 2025 and was granted the opportunity to pose 2 questions, with the third approved by Mayor Jones. Following Ms Yasmin King's email on the 28th of July 2025, Governance Officer, Town of Walkerville, I refer to the Town of Walkerville Traffic Plan 2017 to 2022, which proposed a koala crossing on Tonkin Street, Vale Park, opposite Vale Park Primary School. Upon inspection on the 28th of July 2025, I found the crossing does not meet the design standards for a koala crossing as per Australian Standards 1742.10 as 2020-15, or the current DIP Appendix C. It lacks the features, so white road markings, present. Red and white post, present. 2 yellow flashing lights, not present. 25 km/h signage activated by flashing lights, not present. Instead, the crossing resembles a basic emu crossing, missing the safety elements expected under the traffic management plan. Koala crossings are designed to enhance pedestrian safety. The flashing lights at koala crossings draw attention to the crossing, especially during busy school drop-off and pick-up times. These crossings are designed to safeguard children and other pedestrians by clearly marking a safe place to cross and alerting drivers to their presence. Question 1. The koala crossing provides the best standard of school crossing safety features for Vale Park Primary School. When was the decision made to downgrade the crossing from a koala to an emu crossing? Who made the decision, and what was the risk-based assessment and justification that supported it?
So thank you, Trent, especially for giving that question to us in writing prior to the meeting, because it's allowed us to go back into the records and check the situation with that. So the decision to implement an emu children's crossing instead of a koala crossing was made following community consultation on a draft traffic plan in December 2017. The final design and location were endorsed by councillors Shetlith and Fricker at council's ordinary meeting on the 16th of April 2018. This decision was informed by site-specific observations, including pedestrian and vehicle volumes during school drop-off and pick-up times, proximity to Ascot Avenue, road width and sight distances, interaction between the crossing and the kiss and drop zones. Under current guidelines, a koala crossing requires that during 2 separate 1-hour periods of a typical school day, at least 50 children cross the road and could reasonably be expected to use the crossing, and at least 200 vehicles pass the crossing site per hour. Emu crossings, by contrast, do not have minimum child or vehicle thresholds, only location-based considerations. So traffic data collected on Tonkin Street in March 2025 showed 101 vehicles between 8 and 9 a.m, so less than the 200, and 65 vehicles between 3 and 4 p.m. These figures fall short of the koala crossing criteria. While anecdotal evidence suggests high pedestrian activity, the data does not support the installation of a koala crossing under current standards. It is also noted that the crossing on Tonkin Street is the only crossing that is not currently supervised by school staff in the council area, and that would enhance the safety of this crossing. Council does run an education program at each school, including Vale Park Primary School, at the beginnings of terms 1 and 3 to inform parents at the Kiss and Drop area of how to safely and legally use this area. Council's community safety staff also regularly patrol the area and issue warnings and expiation notices to those parking illegally around schools, including the Kiss and Drop zones. Now, despite all of the above, I have asked Councillor Trotter to raise a motion without notice later on in this meeting, and the reason it's Councillor Trotter and not the Deputy Mayor is because the Deputy Mayor will declare a conflict of interest, to ask the administration to get a report on options available to upgrade traffic around Vale Park Primary School, including the option of providing a koala crossing at that site.
Thank you. Question 2. Regarding the 40 kilometre per hour zone, the Mayor and Ms King's response indicated implementation in Vale Park North is restricted due to the lack of support from Port Adelaide Enfield Council and the presence of Ascot Avenue, inclusive of state government legislation. The Department of Infrastructure and Transport guidelines emphasise the guidelines do not require the zone to be adjacent to or bordered by an interior road or council zoning. Instead, the decision is based on a risk-based assessment that considers pedestrian activity, crash history and road environment. 40 km/h zones are typically applied in high pedestrian activity areas such as shopping precincts, school zones and residential streets. Councils may apply directly to the Department of Transport and Infrastructure with supporting evidence. I will assume that Section 20A Part 2 of the Road Traffic Council Speed Zones Amendment Act 2006 has been overcome by the town of Walkerville, who have applied to the Department of Transport and Infrastructure to implement 40 km/h zones to the rest of Walkerville, excluding Vale Park North. Providing the precedence of City of Charles Sturt Council, Norwood, Payneham, St Peters, Campbelltown, Burnside and Unley that have already implemented or who are actively consulting on the 40 km/h zone in residential streets. Given that community consultation has already shown strong support comparable to or exceeding the response from other areas within the town of Walkerville, there appears to be a clear basis for pursuing this safety initiative. I found no legislative requirement mandating support from Port Adelaide Enfield Council for implementing a 40 km/h zone. Question 2. Can the Mayor or CEO please confirm what legislation mandates Bordering Council agreement for the 40 km/h zone on non-arterial roads or agreement for bordered council zones for the implementation of the zone? The town of Walkerville negotiated a 40 km/h zone for the rest of Walkerville. Why has the council not actively pursued and implemented the same safety standards for Vale Park North as other areas of the town of Walkerville outlined in the Transport Strategy 2024 to 35? And when will the town of Walkerville commit to, support and submit the application on behalf of Walkerville North on the proviso that there is no legislative constraints apart from relying on the convenience of the lack of support from Port Adelaide Enfield Council and no true legislative provisions. My two questions support the perception of local residents of Vale Park North that we continue to be the poor cousin of Walkerville. As a local ratepayer resident, I expect my council and elected members to apply the same safety standards across the whole district without exception. Thank you.
Again, thank you for providing that question earlier. It allowed us to get the details to answer the question. So the town of Walkerville applied to the Minister for Transport and Infrastructure for approval to implement 40-kilometre speed zones across the entire council area using the speed limit review process. This process is guided by the Speed Limit Guideline for South Australia, prepared by Traffic Services Department for Infrastructure and Transport, and authorised for use by councils and DIT by Stephen Pascali, Manager Traffic Services, on the 9th of October 2023. Appendix D of the guideline states that a speed-limited area should have a clear boundary, typically defined by arterial roads or major traffic routes retaining higher speed limits, or physical or geographic features such as rail corridors, parks or waterways. In the case of northeastern Vale Park, the council boundary runs along Fife Street. The eastern side of Fife Street falls under the jurisdiction of Port Adelaide Enfield Council, while the western side is under Town of Walkerville. To establish a 40-kilometre-an-hour zone bounded by North East Road, Ascot Avenue, the River Torrens and OG Road, both councils must agree. A boundary ending at the centre of Fife Street does not meet the guidelines criteria for a clearly defined zone. That being said, council is committed to lowering speed limits throughout Vale Park and will continue to explore with DIT whether these guidelines can be eased to allow an alternative boundary such as Fife Street or Ilford Street. So, to do that, I've again asked Councillor Trotter to raise a motion without notice this evening regarding Council writing to the Member for Torrens, Dana Wortley MP, and the Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, and the Minister for Police, Road Safety, seeking their support for 40-kilometre-per-hour in the remainder of Vale Park with or without Port Adelaide Enfield support. And to also write to the Mayor of Port Adelaide Enfield to strongly encourage Port Adelaide Enfield Council to reconsider its position in relation to 40 kilometres per hour in the Clemzig area.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll put that up on the provisions, let me tell you.
Okay, item 11 is... Oh, sorry. Would the council like to to record the questions? Yes, thank you, Councillor Wick, and the question and the answer. Councillor Williams has seconded that. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, item 11, questions without notice. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. And this question, I sort of mentioned this, I might have been a couple of weeks ago when we were discussing about an injury that occurred on Walkerville Oval to one of the players in that game. On Sunday, there was another accident with another almost in the same position on the field, and the lad, I think the ambulance was 30 or 40 minutes to get there. The game was actually called off, so the game was abandoned about halfway through the second quarter. And so I guess my question without notice, and I'm sorry that I hadn't given you and I don't believe there's any urgency around this. However, with all of the building that's going on around the Oval at the moment, with the tennis courts, the cricket nets, the bowling club and everything, what consideration has been given to emergency services accessing the site there? Because currently, the last two times this has happened in the last fortnight, the ambulance has gone up Warwick Street, then along Church Terrace and down Smith Street and through the car park opposite the W, and then access the Oval through basically that rope that goes across between, access the Oval from that location. So I guess trying to have clearer access points for the ambulance, for ambulances or any emergency services. So I guess it's really more a question to ask, is there something we can do to make that clearer? I think I may have even mentioned before about, I think the address for the Oval at the moment is currently Smith Street, and whether there's better access through Warwick Street because of the car park there, better access to the Oval. It's just something, there's probably a couple of opportunities at the moment before everything's closed off. It's just something that I think we really should consider. The player was from Brighton, from the Brighton club, and apparently was unconscious for nearly half an hour.
CEO, would you like to answer that, or refer
Through
to
the chair,
James?
the Smith Street car park is the proposed access for all heavy vehicles emergency services. We've installed a removable bollard next to the scoreboard, and the car park will be line marked on Wednesday with hatching to make sure that people don't park in front of that space. So vehicles will be able to access between the toilet and the scoreboard. But at the moment we've had to put out some temporary parking bollards, you've probably noticed that. But that'll be the designated spot. If we needed to look at maybe some additional signage for the Smith Street car park for emergency services, we could also consider that as well.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be great. So I'm not sure whether you can bring a report back to the council or not regarding that. It's probably easy enough to do what you're considering.
We can include that in the next works report.
Yep.
Next month's meeting.
That'd be great. And James, the signage is exactly what I thought of on Smith Street as well, but also making sure that that the address is if that's where the access point is going to be.
24 Smith Street, yes.
But also, so the clubs also know that if there has been an ambulance called, that they need to go to that location and take the bollards out, because if there's bollards in there, they haven't. That's not where they've been accessing the Oval from, but obviously rather through quite a sort of difficult or unusual spot.
Yeah, to the chair, we can make that happen.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, Councillor Williams. Any other questions without notice? Okay, item 12, questions with notice. There are no questions with notice. Item 13, motions without notice. Councillor Trotter, now just before you raise that, I know what you're going to raise, and I know the Deputy Mayor knows. And would you like to declare a conflict?
Yeah, I'd just like to declare a conflict of interest of a general nature, just due to the complexities of my employment revolving around road safety, police and speed limits, which this motion is about. I'm I am the State Manager of Speed Cameras and routinely in charge of traffic operations. That is why I am reporting conflict of interest. Thanks. I will stay and I will vote. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Trotter.
So I would like to raise a motion without notice that the council write to the Minister for Infrastructure Transport, the Minister for Police Road Safety, and the Member of Torrens seeking support for the implementing a 40 kilometre speed limit in the remainder of Vale Park, with or without the support of Port Adelaide Enfield Council. That's my point one. And the point two, write to the Mayor of Port Adelaide Enfield Council to strongly encourage the Port Adelaide Enfield Council to reconsider its position in relation to implementing the 40 kilometre speed limit in Clemsey, which I think is really important because that's such a close area. And that the administration prepare a report for the for October 2025 Ordinary Council meeting, indicating the options available for the upgrading traffic and pedestrian safety around Vale Park Primary School, including the option of providing a koala crossing.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Whip.
I've just checking, did you want to say anything further to it? Sorry to move, or I'm happy to speak.
No.
Yeah. Well, I'll just add to, obviously thank you for coming with your questions tonight, really appreciate that. But one of my ongoing frustrations, and I said it when you were last here to the member that was in the gallery, has been around, my personal view is if a council wants to make its whole area 40 Ks, there shouldn't be these roadblocks in the way. It's totally ridiculous in my opinion. We should be able to make the whole area 40 Ks, and when I first raised around the need to have the 40Ks in our council area. The full intention was for it to be the whole area, so we were very, very frustrated that, again, Vale Park North had to be segregated. I know it's happened in the previous administration when they were looking at a different issue. Vale Park North was separated again on being considered on that other issue, but again, they should not be separated. Like, if we want to make our area 40Ks across the board, we should be allowed to, and it drives me insane. So I hope that the Minister will see the common sense approach to this, and I know we didn't get it up originally, but let's just hope we can nudge and get that through, because I'm very supportive of what the school's trying to achieve, or the area's trying to achieve there. I would also, as part of that, encourage that the Mayor of Port Adelaide Enfield to support it. I'm not sure the complexities of why they didn't, but again, a letter of nudge of support doesn't hurt. And also having the report back about what we can do, and even if the answer might be that we provided might be technically correct, if we can look at a report back if there's any nuances, anything extra we can do, I'm supportive of that as well. So I seek support for the motion as a seconder as well.
Thank you.
I would also like to support this motion, Councillor Chotu raised and you seconded, because I have also raised a motion during my first year of term that concerned regarding Walkerville Park Primary School. The school area is very, very occupied with the pedestrian and school crossing, and the very heavy vehicles comes across that time. It's very big pressure to the parents and the students coming close to the roads. And I also asked about putting some fencing thing around the area so that it can be just to stop the pedestrian to cross the road with that time. So we have the school to
anyone else like to speak? Thank you, Councillor Paul. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. I also support this. However, I'd just like to ask the mover and seconder, in point 2, where the 40 kilometre zone limit in Clemsic, do you actually mean, and should we stipulate, that it's the area west of OG Road bounded by the river and North East Road? The only reason I say that is because the other side of OG Road is also Clemsic.
Yeah.
So just so that we're making sure that,
we can put that boundary.
that we're not talking about the whole of Clemsic. So
no, we don't want to start chaos.
I just don't want them to get caught up with it and come back to us and say, well, you've put the whole of Clemsic in here. That's not what we mean. So I think it's important we put in what we mean.
The adjoining area.
So Councillor, yes.
In the Clemsic area.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'd just be adding in the Clemsic area west of OG Road and bordered by the river and North East Road. I think I've got those borders right.
I'll be relying on your geographical ability.
I need a seconder to that variation. Perfect.
Because if it's
Okay.
been accepted, then
Do I need a seconder to this variation?
No, the mover and seconder
Yep.
have accepted it.
accepted it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Zeppel.
I support this motion. I was just wondering whether there's any point in adding a bit of clarification about the koala crossing at the end, because we don't actually say where said koala crossing should be. It's just saying a koala crossing. I think we mean where that crossing is
With
now.
current crossing.
Do we want to actually have that in writing so there's clarity about what we're talking about?
Only I'm not sure what the Tompkins report might, if it did suggest that got moved somewhere different or forward or back without preempting what it might come back with.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak for or against? Councillor Nenke.
I'm not sure how this will flow, but I'm supportive of the 40 kilometre zone through Vale Park, but if Port Adelaide Enfield are very strong about not. I'm just looking at a map, it's only Harris Road that continues for a short distance into the PAE past 5. Just wondering whether Port Adelaide would be at least willing to extend the 40 kilometre out just to the extension of 5 Street, because on the basis that there's a school, within that, doesn't actually join there, but no, sorry, just everything I've said has got nothing to do with anything. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? We've only got Councillor Vanstone left.
Everyone's had a go. You haven't had a go.
Okay, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't have to say much because everyone else is going to give it a go.
Okay, item 14, motions with notice, and Councillor Core has put in a motion with notice. And Councillor Core, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I believe my motion is very clear and transparent for everyone, but still I will have to give notice of attention to my motion. I strongly believe there should be approval for the attendance of a elected member 2026 and ALG National General Assembly in Canberra. And I believe each year sponsor budget for the mayor and deputy mayor along with the CEO to attend the ALG National General Assembly in Canberra. So this has been a valuable opportunity for our leadership to engage with other councils, share ideas and advocate on behalf of our community. However, this arrangement does not currently provide the same opportunity for other elected members to attend and contribute. By approving the attendance of a third elected member, we broaden the perspectives represented at the conference and strengthen our advocacy. So, yeah, I believe the budget allocates 1,500 in 2026, and it's a modest investment in building our council's capacity. And it's ensuring diverse representation, like I'm from different diverse communities, so it's a great valuable opportunity for me to, for all the other elected members as well. So by continuing this practice in this future, all elected members will have the opportunity to attend the conference during the term of the office.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the support of my colleagues. Thank you.
Is there a seconder to this motion? Sorry, there's no seconder, so the motion will lapse. We'll go on to the seconder. So, move on to item 15, decision reports. Item 15.1 is the council resolution register. Andrew, anything to add to the report?
Probably only in relating to the Buckingham Arms item. The appeal, my understanding is that was supposed to go ahead tomorrow but has now been withdrawn. Looking for a nod. I know that was the intention. I think the paperwork has now been lodged.
I've looked on the hearing list and it's been on the calendar at the ERG court, so they lodged the documents late last week.
Which is always, I think, anticipated. They only held it over from the original one to make sure that the 6 months after the new one was approved that it couldn't be contested. Otherwise, I'll take all the other reporters being read and take any questions that the members may have.
Any questions on the report? Mover? Councillor Trotter, seconded. The Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 15.2, the Purple Bench Project. James, do you have anything to add to the report?
Through the Chair, members may recall a workshop on the 4th of August where we discussed this item. Group Manager of Public Relations can't make it tonight, so I'm happy to answer any questions. I am on the report. So the recommendation reflects the discussion around installing a new bench on Belt Reserve and relocating the existing bench.
Any questions on the report?
Yes,
Councillor Trotter.
I was not here, sorry, I won't make it hard.
Right.
I was away on leave, so the bench that you're replacing, so apologies, you've probably already been through this, that's not the one that's a memorial bench, is it? There was a memorial bench.
Yeah, so it's the community project bench that the plan is to move it to somewhere else.
Howie Reserve,
Howie
Is
Reserve.
it Howie Reserve? Yeah, Howie.
Okay, but it was a community project one, it wasn't to do with a...
I think it was run by the Walkerville Society Inc. that was formerly chaired by Rosemary Craddock, who was the former mayor of Walkerville.
And it was placed for that reason, was it, in that particular
That's the
site?
plaque there.
Yeah.
So the bench with the plaque is to be moved to Howie Reserve.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Sorry, just because I read that to be, I thought there was some other report that said that it was actually a memorial for someone with a name on it, and I just couldn't find that. So I even walked up to the park to have a look just because I couldn't work it out. Thanks.
Yeah. Councillor Williams, do you have a question?
I was just going to move the recommendation.
Yeah. Okay. Were there any other questions? Okay, we have Councillor Williams has moved it. Is there a seconder? Councillor Vanstone? Yep. Anyone else like to speak for or against? Okay, all those in favour? It's carried. Item 15.3, Councillor Trotter's leave of absence request.
And she's gone.
Councillor Trotter, that's there, 25th of August to the 8th of September. Would you like to move your own leave of absence request?
Yeah, why not?
I'll second it as well.
Seconded as well. Yeah.
Second,
It's not an exciting
Councillor
one. It's just
Zeppel,
a
I
work.
think, sorry. Okay.
Not even a holiday this time, so it's not
Okay.
even nice.
All those in favour? That's carried. Item 15.4, the Buckingham Arms development variation. Andrew, do you have anything to add to this?
I'll just run council through it, then Fiona might be able to provide a few extra details. We became aware because the developer of Buckingham Development Proprietary Limited submitted a variation to the current building works going on at Buckingham Arms. I think we were asked to assess it originally, and we deemed it to be a significant variation to the original application rather than a minor one, due to the number of units, additional units, slight increase in height and a few other aspects to it. My understanding is they then resubmitted it to the state planning assessment panel to review and to approve. My understanding is that we may not have an opportunity to formally comment on the application because it might be approved under delegation, and we're proposing that we write objecting to that stance, and that should be because of the significant changes to the design and the occupancy, its impact on traffic and waste and a whole heap of other issues that we originally objected to. This actually makes it worse. So we're suggesting that yourself, Mayor, write to object to the proposal, even if it's not done formally under the Planning Act, but to do so. Fiona may be able to provide an update on more detail of what they're proposing to do.
Yeah, they are. It won't be going out to public notification.
Of course.
And they've said that on the portal that they will do it under delegated authority. So they may not even ask us for a comment.
I'll put them on notice.
We did raise this with Lucy Hood last Friday as well, Thursday I think it was, when we saw her, so she's going to separately, I think, raise some questions.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Is there any questions on the report? Mover?
I'm happy to move, and I'd like to speak to it if possible. Thank you. And thanks to Lucy as well for obviously, it's encouraging to hear that she's going to raise questions. I'm horrified to read that, and I thank the staff for pulling this together, and Mayor, and hopefully tonight we'll support the need to write to this, because adding 22 rooms is my opinion, is not a minor variation that shouldn't be considered. I think that's absolutely outrageous. And I think from day dot, if it wasn't for this council actually writing a letter and actually making the community aware to have their say around this, the original thing could have been at risk. And I'm glad that originally when the application went through, there were a few hundred residents that banded with us and provided feedback and provided a submission. And I'm just horrified that this is being considered under delegation and as a minor variation that doesn't need public notification. Adding 22 rooms is not a minor and look, if it's deemed to be that by the law, then our planning laws need some serious review at a state level. This is disgusting that this is considered a minor variation that doesn't need public notification. Look, I know this has been going on since around 2014, probably or 2015, the planning laws coming in this state, but I think they need some serious review, and our community need to not be ignored. I think the erosion of, this is my personal opinion, I think the erosion of council to have a say in a lot of planning matters has been really disappointing to see over the last sort of decade in planning laws, and I think the state's got a long way to go, and I don't want our community ignored. So if this letter is just to simply put our displeasure on record, then I'm very supportive of it, and it should be, the public need to know that we're not supportive of this and we don't deem it to be a minor variation.
Thank you, Councillor Whip. Is there a seconder? Councillor Zeppel. Thank you. You don't wish to speak to it? No. Anyone else like to speak for or against? Okay. All those in favour? That is carried. Okay, item 16 is information reports, and 16.1 customer requests update August 25. James, anything
Through
to
the
add?
chair, I guess this report just paints a snapshot of some of the discussions we've been having with council around our customer service, I guess the flow process or business process, and we've just documented some key, I guess, touch points with the community, and an example email where it notifies them of when we'll next be in touch and things like that. So just a bit of a snapshot on how we're trying to improve our interface with the community, I guess.
Any questions on the report? Councillor Trotter?
Is this an automated system? So if the email does go out, will there then be a follow-up on that email that's automatic, or is it human, sort of, I guess?
Through the chair, so the initial email comes from our customer service staff, that's manual, and then the CR sits with the relevant department to respond on where they need, and that's a manual process.
And how are we going to be, I guess, sticking to the process in a matter of time? And
yeah, I guess that's where the improvements need to come. Potentially, there's options around software, around reporting and things like that. At the moment it is quite manual because of our customer service program, but there are a number of options out there that can automate these processes and notify customers when things are overdue and things like that. You've seen it with our rate service, for example, notification, things like that. So, if someone lodges their request, an automated thing saying, that's been fixed or it's overdue, but we're a little away from that at the moment.
Through the chair, the current software we're using is about to come to end of life, and I think we've allowed some money on the long-term financial plan in a couple of years' time to replace it. Obviously we can't wait to improve our customer service for that period, so we put in this process. Yes, it's fairly manual process, but what we're actually finding, or the customer service team are finding us, is by putting in the extra effort in the front end, it's saying some inquiries, and they're coming in at the back end of where things are up to. So they're finding it's actually probably a net saver in their physical time. We're looking at how we can actually record better against it, so we can keep track and report whether we're meeting our benchmarks or not, which is the next step in this. First was to hopefully get the process right, to actually get the improvements, then ensure that we can monitor it and achieve what we want to set out to. So that's our next step of how we record against our benchmarks that we're setting ourselves, and then put a customer charter together that really encapsulates it all. But we wanted to make sure things could actually work first.
Look forward to that.
Any other questions? Thank you. Councillor Trotter has moved that. It's seconded. Councillor Williams. All those in favour? That's carried. Item 16.2, 24-25 Annual Community Plan June Quarter Progress Report. Mohammed, anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor. The report is self-explanatory. This is a new report that we started doing last year, where we put all the projects in. This was the first time that we put individual project, footpath name, road segments, and that level of detail. Being this the first complete year, only one table that I've added within the body of the report, which basically summarizes progress on each asset class. That's the only difference. But other than that, the report is self-explanatory, but happy to take any questions.
Any questions on the report?
I move it.
So you're moving it? Hold on, I think we might have...
I just had a question, Just from one resident who was happy that with the liaison between, through the chair, sorry, I should say, to the Director of Assets. The one resident just wanted a further update and assurance that the few footpath projects to go are going to be delivered, and just and a rough time frame around when they're going to be delivered.
Yes.
With the carry forward?
Through the chair, so the outstanding footpaths, I believe, were the cemetery footpath. Just looking through the list now. That's under construction as we speak. North East Road at the time of writing the report hadn't been completed, but has since been completed.
Okay,
and Northcote Terrace we're anticipating within the next month or two.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the report?
Just through the chair, any of those footpaths or curbs and gutters, do you see any of those will carry forward, carrying any risk to safety?
Through the chair, with the main outstanding being Northcote, which is a lift and relay of pavers, and not in, I guess, terrible condition. I think the risk is low of leaving it for a month until the program catches up.
Any other questions? Councillor Nenke.
Just on the table of expenditure on page 37, the total, so the first column is the amount of budget, and then you've got the amount spent. Does that add up? The 1.984 million to 1.89 million and 390,000?
So 1.9, through the chair if I may, 1.98 was budgeted, 1.89 was spent, and then that was the remaining 390,000, which was basically a saving.
I don't think that's the difference. 1.98 take
Not between the
1.89.
two figures.
Okay. Apologies, that could be a typo,
I
but
think
that
the
was
3
the...
is not required.
Maybe there's a zero missing, yeah, or a 3. Something,
Do the sum.
should be 90.
Bean count is 90?
About 90.
90,
I think there's
yeah.
a 3 in the
Yeah, it's 90,000. 3 could be just an addition.
Yeah, I think 3 is also.
So
3.
20,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Need to amend.
And I was just, just curious as well with the St Andrews, the Walkerville Terrace section in the road reseals, which was St Andrews Street to Hay Lane. That's completed. It's like a $55,000 variance, I suppose. Is that? I was just wondering, like, what happened there in consideration to the, or even the whole of Walkerville Terraces over budgeted really for what was actually spent?
Through the chair, the condition of sections of Walkerville Terrace were better than we anticipated. We initially planned to replace full segments. However, we were able to preserve some of the existing sections rather than reseal sections of road that were in good condition. So essentially that's just been reflected through there.
So sorry, what? So originally you thought you'd have to do some, what sort of works?
So reseal, so profile and reseal, that was still the case, but we didn't have to reseal the full segment. So St Andrews to Hay Lane was one segment, but we didn't have to do that full length.
So just
the condition was better.
Yes, the original.
Yeah, but the sections that were in poor condition were profiled out. And I guess it allowed us to go a bit deeper in those sections too, given it's a heavy transport route.
Okay, so how much life is left in those sections that we didn't do
that? The recondition is still rated as good. We won't know, I guess, until the recondition assessment. Administration looked at those sections and felt that, it was, I guess, counterproductive to spend money where roads are still in good condition.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll go back to Councillor Corr, who is wanting to move this. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Zeppel, thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Item 16.3, the monthly financial report for July 25. Mohammed, anything to add?
Nothing further to add, Mayor.
Any questions? Okay, is there a mover?
Move that way.
Thank you, Councillor Whip, and seconded by Councillor Trotter. All those in favour? That's carried. And item 16.4, the monthly works report for July 25. James, anything to add?
Through the chair, just that we've gone back to the sort of previous way of reporting customer requests and keeping, I guess, a tally through the year. We've also included some additional information about our tree planting this year, and members can see where our trees have been planted. With I guess a map presenting where those trees have been planted this year.
Any questions on the report?
Just through the chair, just questioning the difference between the blue and the red in this map.
Yeah, so that's the program. I think so. All the new trees get put onto our watering program. In the blue, and these trees are only a couple of months old. The blue trees have already been watered. And the red trees will be watered.
Delightful.
I couldn't change that.
Okay. If there's no other questions, is there a mover? Thank you, Councillor Vanstone, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? That is carried. So that brings us to item 17, which are confidential reports. So I'll take the gallery.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 17.1, the major project status update. And the first item is to move into confidence. Councillor Whip has moved that and Councillor Seppel has seconded it. All those in favour? Carried. At 7:51 we have moved into confidence.